One last segment of football with Farhan and Moj. And before we get to some CFL talk, let's get to the answer to our trivia question. We wanted to know, who was the first professional quarterback to throw for over 5,000 yards in a single season? 0 for 3 with your guesses earlier.
I feel so bad. I should have known the answer to this question. Warren Moon, of course, did it with Edmonton way back in, 1982 and 83. So my apologies to Warren, the Moon family, and all his fans. So
yeah, I'm sure he'll get over it. 5,000 on the button in 1982 before blowing the mark out of the water the next year, and then eventually making his way to the NFL, where he set all sorts of additional pro football passing records. We got to get him on the show because he's a good friend of both of ours.
Yeah,
so
we'll get him on.
We'll do that soon. Let's get to the last week in the CFL. And for me, I've been disappointed with just the overall quality play, but more importantly, just that exciting CFL style finish. We just haven't seen enough of those where the rules of the game, we see the outcome of that, where we see those fantastic finishes with a bunch of possessions back and forth. We finally saw that on Saturday after the Lions and Winnipeg was completely one-sided on Friday. We'll get to that. But on Saturday, it started with Hamilton and Montreal, the Als coming back down 2 scores to win this game in overtime. The way they sent it to overtime with that catch on 3rd and 19 to Geno Lewis from the 28-yard line, unbelievable catch, and they win in OT. Great for the Als.
Yeah, and this is a Montreal Alouette team that I've looked at this year and watched a bunch of their games, Farhan, and they just always seem to shoot themselves in the foot. I mean, whether it's stupid penalties, whether it's turnovers at the wrong time, whether it's drop passes, you name it. Yet somehow they found a way to get it done against the Hamilton Tiger Cats, and maybe it's one of those things that turns their season around.
Yeah, and for Vernon Adams, there's so much excitement to his game, but that consistency piece is missing. When he's on, he's as good as there is in the league, and just the way they were able to overcome the injuries along the offensive line. They had 3 offensive linemen go out at various times in that game. David Menard, a D lineman, had to go in and play right guard. So all of that it could be a signature win for the Als, who've been so close in so many, but they needed that one big time. And that affects the playoff race all around because you've got some teams in the West, Calgary and Edmonton, that are trying to chase. Calgary winds up winning against Saskatchewan, another fantastic finish. Saskatchewan gets the ball. They attempt 3 onside kicks. They finally get the 3rd one on a remarkable effort by Brett Lowther, and a late interception seals it for Calgary.
Yeah, and the crazy thing is I watched that. I think Brett Lowther could try that kick probably like another 20 times. I don't think he could execute it as perfectly as he did. Dribble kick, 10 yards, right there. Ball went 10 yards. He's got it. They get the ball back, and what do, though? We've talked about Cody Fajardo having an issue throwing the deep pass. It's not his strength. They basically run the exact same play that they did against the BC Lions a week ago, streak down the right sideline, and he throws it again into double coverage again, and we saw Jalen Edwards-Cooper with the interception the week before, and again, the ball picked off, so not the way that the Riders wanted this thing to end.
And not the way Calgary wanted things to end as far as Bo Levi Mitchell is concerned, because he was playing easily his best game of the season, but then in the 4th quarter, he pulls himself out with a shoulder injury, a re-aggravation of a previous injury. No word on whether or not he's going to play this week. It's certainly possible. Jake Mayer finishes. They've got a capable backup, but you just wonder what this means for a guy like Bo, at least as far as this season is concerned, because when you aggravate that type of shoulder injury again, it's probably not going to be perfect the rest of the year.
No, it's not. It's probably one of those things that's going to linger all year long, but at least the Calgary Stampeders have the luxury of having a pretty good backup quarterback in Mayer, who's proven himself to be worthy thus far. And I think maybe Bo Levi Mitchell, knowing that they have that option at quarterback, might have taken himself out. If he didn't know that they had that option, maybe he's still in a football game.
So those 2 teams will play again this weekend. They play in Regina this time. And good news for the Riders, they have added Duke Williams, who spent the last couple of seasons in the NFL with the Buffalo Bills. I know Edmonton was also interested in him, but he winds up going to the Riders, who've shown some real talent with their Canadian receivers. But to get an upgrade like this, and eventually they'll get Shaq Evans back as well.
Yeah, I mean, Evans returns to that lineup. Keon Schaefer-Baker has emerged as a viable threat for the Riders, and now you get Duke Williams, another player who adds, a lot of potential to your offense. Auburn guy, right? If I'm not mistaken?
Yeah, Auburn guy. He and Nick Marshall played together. Nick Marshall, the quarterback at the time, now a corner with Saskatchewan. But the relationship between Williams and Jason Moss, who was his head coach in Edmonton, played a big part in him wanting to go there. So that's a big addition for Cody Fajardo and that offense. Let's get to our picks. Do we want to talk about the Lions?
I'll say this. I called the game.
Or you can
right?
look, Winnipeg, you can just talk about how great they were. Pick one.
Winnipeg is in a weight class among themselves. We've mentioned it before. It's Winnipeg and everyone else. I mean, you look at that defensive line that they have. I mean, everyone talks about Jefferson. Everyone talks about, Jeffcoat. And now they got this Stove character, this Richardson guy. All he does is basically take two guys in the middle and free up those outside guys to be one-on-one. Man, their defense. And by the way, you got some guy named Big Hill roaming around behind them. Their defense, they've got some ballers over there.
Yeah, the Lions offensively, the same problems that plagued them before, and now a bigger problem. Lucky Whitehead, who got hit in that game by Brandon Alexander, has a bit of a wrist injury, required surgery. He's going to be out 2 to 4 weeks. Shocked that he tried to come back and try to play one-handed.
No, I mean,
you knew it just wasn't worth the effort.
No, it wasn't. And at that point, I think he was just a decoy, right? They just wanted him to get out there, maybe draw some coverage, because they threw that one ball to him in the second half when he did come back and he tried to catch it. I've never seen a receiver try to catch a ball like this, like with one hand. So, hey, give him props for coming back into the game and trying to help out regardless.
Yeah, and we'll see if Lamar Durant can get back into BC's lineup. They've got another week off this week, and they need it after that last performance and really the last 2 losses after a period of time where they were playing really well.
And I got a scoop for you, by the way.
Oh,
look for the Lions to sign a veteran CFL receiver. It's going to happen within the next couple of days.
Okay. Looking forward to that. Let's get
Speaking of Buckeyes.
Let's get to this. Oh, DeVere Posey. Let's get to this week's picks. Red Blacks versus the Argos. This is a 5-game week. We were both 2-2 last week, so somebody's going to be over 500 this week. Red Blacks versus the Argos on Wednesday. The Argos play twice this week, Wednesday then Monday. Argos favored by 5. Nick Arbuckle will not start in this game. It's going to be McLeod Bethel Thompson getting the start. Arbuckle's got a hamstring injury. Macbeth has a 2-1 record this year as a starter. Who do you like?
Let me take the Red Blacks. I like what I saw with Caleb Evans. Yeah. I love this kid. Watching him the other night, he runs, he throws the ball well. He just gave Ottawa some juice. The first time I've seen an Ottawa game this year where they had some life, they had some juice. I love what I saw from Caleb Evans. I'm going to take the Red Blacks to win this one. Big upset. Biggest
point spread of the year, I think, right now is Edmonton in Winnipeg on Friday night. 12.5 points. You generally don't see this. Unless has Ottawa been favored, or has Ottawa been a bigger dog this year? We'll have to check that.
I don't. 12.5's a lot.
12.5 points.
Can I ask you something? You're the quarterback guru. I'm watching these games, and David Sanchez and others pointed this out on the broadcast. Tyler Cornelius, the Edmonton quarterback, he throws off his back foot. He never follows through. How do you play at a big school like Oklahoma State, and when you look at his mechanics, they are downright awful?
Yeah, and there's a lot Edmonton likes about him. And you've got... there's going to be some situations at the quarterback position for Edmonton that are going to rear their ugly head down the road here. They want to make sure they know what they've got in that guy, but I'm taking the Bombers at home by 12.5 to cover.
I'll take the Bombers as well. Forget it. You're pretty impressed with that, throwing off the back foot.
I know.
Me talking quarterback.
The one thing that's important to note with Winnipeg is Kenny Lawler, who had a 200-yard game against the BC Lions, will not play this week. He was arrested earlier on Tuesday for driving under the influence. So he's going to get some help. The club has decided to suspend him for a game. Admitted to everything. I mean, I think from a procedural standpoint, as far as any investigation, I think it's going to be pretty clean. But the Bombers are going to sit him this week, so that could affect the outcome as far as the point spread is concerned. But I think the way Winnipeg is playing defensively, I think it's going to be really difficult for Edmonton to generate any offense this week.
I'll take the Bombers minus 12.5 as well. I'm on board with you.
All right, so we're both picking the same 2, so this isn't fun, but okay. Stamps in Regina. Riders favored by 3.5 against the Stamps, and we don't know who's a quarterback. And Duke Williams will play this week. I don't know.
Riders. I just think this is a team that, look what happened last week against Calgary. Very disappointed with the way that game ended. I think the Saskatchewan Roughriders cover this 3.5 and wind up knocking the Stampeders off. And as you mentioned, the quarterbacking issue with the Stampeders in flux. You going to agree with me again?
Yeah, I don't like this. Look, these next 2 picks, I'm just going to go against you just because.
Okay.
Red Blacks versus Montreal Monday. Monday Night Football, CFL style. Alouettes favored by 7.5.
I'll take the Alouettes in this one.
Damn it. I want to take the Alouettes.
Okay, you know what? I'll take Ottawa. I took Ottawa in the other game against the Argos.
You got to stick with it.
But no, here's my rationale, right? I think they knock off the Argonauts, but it's going to be such a big win for them. They kind of come back down to earth against the
Are we both taking Montreal?
Alouettes. You know what? I'll take the 7.5. I'll take Ottawa. You give me 7.5. You take the Alouettes.
I'm
They got to
taking
win by 8.
Montreal. You got Ottawa.
The thing is with Montreal, they always kind of shoot themselves in the foot. Maybe they come back to earth this
But with Ottawa, the more we see of Caleb Evans, the harder it's going to be for Caleb Evans.
True.
It's always going to get more difficult the second time through. And then the week finishes, again, back-to-back games on Monday. Argos at the Ticats, and the Ticats are favored by 5.
Take the Ticats -5. They're starting to find their groove.
Okay, I'll take the Argos just because you're taking the Ticats, even though I want to take Hamilton.
Right.
So we had to go the opposite for the bottom one. Yeah, you did me a favor with the first Monday night game. I'll do you a favor with the second one. So that is it for CFL talk. Again, Lions have the bye this week, and we'll see how long Lucky Whitehead is going to be out.
Yeah, 2 to 4 weeks they're saying so.
And you're calling a scoop for a veteran CFL receiver to come back to BC, and we'll see if Lamar Durant can get back into the lineup as well for the Lions. He's dressed the last 2 games, but really hasn't done anything just because of his injured foot. They need him back. And who's the other receiver that's injured for BC right now?
Dominic
Rhymes is out, so certainly that adds the need to add an experienced
Well, the other thing, too, with Durant helps him with the ratio. Hey, by the way, we're all about to wrap up, correct? Mm-hmm. Want to know, place drop this week. Where are you going?
Nowhere. I'm going to my son's game at Linden Middle School in Washington.
Hey, that's impressive.
That's big.
What's his name? The quarterback, Jake, whatever his name was.
Jake Locker.
Is he from Linden?
No, he's from Ferndale.
Ferndale. It's the same thing.
Same conference, same county, not far
Same
away.
county.